Greetings, Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. So today we're going to look at an amazing guitarist. Been around since the mid to late 80s. Definitely has a sound all of his own. You know, for me, the really great guitarists are the guys that have their own identity, their own sound, and you can pick them up from other guitarists. You can say, right, that's so-and-so or that's so-and-so. And this guy definitely has it. So I'm talking about Joe Satriani, a solo artist who has gone on to work in bands as well, but he's primarily a solo artist. And a unique sound. Has played pretty much Ebenezer, I think, his whole career. He's got his own signature Ebenezer that you can get. As have a lot of these guys, these well-known guitarists, all have their own guitars that you can go and buy at a price, of course. And really humble guy, down to earth, but an incredible guitarist. He can do the million notes a minute thing, but he's not just a shredder. He's very melodic in his playing, and he can play with feeling, which to me is a big thing. It's all very well just whittling along on the guitar, but you've got to say something. You've got to project an emotion, and I think that's what Joe Satriani does very well. I don't have all of his albums, unfortunately, but the ones that I have I will show to you and chat about a few other things. So he was born on July the 15th, 1956, which makes him a sprightly 65. And early on, he worked as a guitar instructor, sort of a guitar teacher. And he's had some notable students, including Kirk Hammett from Metallica, Steve Vai, who he would go on to have a relationship with later on in a couple of projects, Alex Skolnick from Testament, and a couple of other guys as well. So that's how I started out, as a guitar teacher. He's done 17 solo albums, so he's been quite prolific. I think he releases one every 2 years or 3 years. He's done 5 live albums, and there are various live DVDs, and there's a lot of footage as well on YouTube that you can check out. He has a project called G3, which is him primarily with Steve Vai. They're the two guys who have done most of them. And then they have guest artists who come on. So they had Eric Johnson, I think, on the first one. Yngwie Malmsteen was in 2004. Eric Johnson was in 1997. And then the last one, I think, was in 2005, featuring John Petrucci from Dream Theater. So he has all these guys come on, and they do well-known tracks, and they do maybe their own tracks, and each guy has a spot, and then at the end all three get together and they do sort of classic tracks. Really cool. I've got something that I'll show you later as regards that. And then he's also part of a band called Chickenfoot, which features Sammy Hagar on guitar and vocals. It's got the drummer Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Michael Anthony from Van Halen, and then Joe Satriani on guitar. Great band. Very different to his solo stuff. There's not a lot of guitar. There's a lot of guitar lead breaks, but it's done in a different style, more in a band context, if you like. So they've done 2 albums. There's a self-titled from 2009, and then there's one called Chickenfoot 3, although it's only the second album, so who knows why they called it 3, and that was in 2011. And there's also a live DVD that came out in 2012, which is really cool to watch. Great band on stage, lots of energy. Sammy Hagar's always up for anything. And they all gel very well in that band. They all get along, and no egos or whatever, although they're all big stars. They just let the music talk, which is the main thing. So let's get into the ones that I have, and then I'll show you. So this one came out in 1986. Joe Satriani, this was his debut album called Not of This Earth. A really cool cover there. And you could already hear from this album that this guy had something special. Not of This Earth, the snake Rubina, which I think was his wife's name. That's a really cool track. Memories and Brother John. This is all instrumental. He would go on and do a few vocals on later albums, but I think this is mostly instrumental. Although it does say John Cunaberti on percussion and vocals, but I think it's very limited sort of vocals. Jeff Campitelli on drums, percussion, DX, and whistles. Whatever DX is, I have no idea. Joe Satriani, guitar, bass, keyboards, and percussion, so he can do pretty much anything. Hordes of Locusts is also a really great track on here, some amazing riffs. The Headless Horseman, and written and arranged by Joe Satriani, produced by Joe Satriani and John Cuneberti. There's a shot of Joe at the back there when he still had hair. I don't know if you can see that in the dark background. I think he's completely bald now, and he wears beanies and things on his head at the moment. So that was the debut, Not of This Earth. The next one I have to show you is actually an EP. He's made a few EPs. This one's called Dreaming Number 11. There he is, still looking very young there. And this one came out, I think, in 88. This is on the Relativity Records label, as was that other first one. Joe Satriani uses Ibanez guitars and Marshall amps and DiMarzio pickups. So he's endorsed by all these companies. Who's on here? Joe Satriani, guitar, bass, keyboards, Jeff Campitelli, drums, and Bongo Bob Smith on percussion. Crush of Love, that's a great track. Ice 9, Memories, Hordes of Locusts, that features Stuart Ham on bass, Jonathan Move on drums. So there's a few lineup changes in this album. Actually, it's an EP, so there's only 1, 2, 3. There's about 4 tracks on here. It's well worth checking out, though. Really cool EP, that one. And then we get to the album that broke him in 88. This is a must-have as far as Joe Satriani is concerned. I'm sure you guys all recognize that great cover there, Surfing with the Alien. I remember I was still in music retail when this came out, and it made such a splash. It's not just that it was a guitar shredding, not just for guitarists. I think it had a broader appeal. And it did really well. So let's see. There he is with his Ibanez, with his hair still. Surfing with the Alien, the title track, Ice 9, Crushing Day, Always With Me, Always With You, which is a slightly slower track, but more melodic. Satch Boogie was the really big hit off here. Incredible guitar riffs, lots of time changes, quite a bit of prog as well. Hill of the Skull, Circles, Lords of Karma, Midnight, and Echo. So it's Joe Satriani, guitar, bass, keyboards, percussion. Bongo Bob Smith, drum programming, Jeff Campitelli, drums, percussion, John Cuneberti, and Jeff Krieger on pre-production and programming. So great album. This is one that I can recommend out of all the Joe Satrianis. If you're not really a guitar noodling fan, just get this one. In 2007, it was re-released, and I think it was a double CD combination. And on the second disc, you had a lot of the music videos that came out at the time, so they've stuck that on the second one, which is quite cool. Then the next one I have to show you is the one called Flying in a Blue Dream, and this would be the first album to feature him singing. Not the world's best vocalist, but it kind of works with the songs that he's doing and the instrumental stuff. Flying in a Blue Dream is a great track. The mystical potato head groove thing. Love that track, the title. Can't Slow Down, Headless, Strange. That's another one with vocals. They don't all have vocals. Ride, The Forgotten Part 1, The Forgotten Part 2, The Bells of Lull. That's also really good. And how's that guitar? Amazing. Excuse me. I think this was custom made by Ibanez for him, with all those intricate designs on it. Really excellent. And I think there's another shot of him with his guitar, and that's him in the studio there doing his thing. Great album, Flying in a Blue Dream, another one that I would recommend. Then moving on from that, we get to an album from 1992 called The Extremist. Slightly heavier, still amazing guitar work. Obviously the guitar work on all of these is great. Just a little bit heavier, I think. Friends, The Extremist, the title track, War, Crying, Rubina's Blue Sky Happiness, Motorcycle Driver. Let's see if there's anything I can show you. There's a great shot of him there. Just an all-round guitarist, rhythm player, lead player, you name it, he can do it. John Cuneberti's on here. Matt Bissonette, who I think played with David Lee Roth as well on his solo album. Andy Johns was production here. And there's a small photograph of the guys over there. So that's another good one to get. And then we get to an album which is a little different. It's more of a jazzy, instrumental, sort of jazz, funk, R&B album, simply called Joe Satriani. This is probably my favorite of his. I just love the grooves in this album. Very different to Surfing with the Alien, a lot more earthy, more organic sort of album. Cool 9 is great, Down, 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 Luminous Fresh Giants, Moroccan Sunset, Slow Down Blues. So he does blues here as well, which you don't find on the early stuff. Sorry, I have a bit of a throat this morning. So let's see if there's anything I can show you inside. That's not really, it's just mostly the lyrics. There's a shot of the guys in the studio there. I don't know how well you can see that. Then we move on. As I say, there are a number that I don't have that are sort of gaps in between these that I'm showing you now. So the last one that I have of his solo albums is from 2004, and it's called Is There Love in Space? Some of his later stuff for me got a bit too techno, if you like. The drum sound wasn't as organic, not as acoustic. A lot of technology crept into the music, which I suppose, being the kind of guitarist that he is, it was going to happen. This one is okay. Hands in the Air, Lifestyle is a good track. The Souls of Distortion, not one of the ones that I really reach for when I want to play Joe Satriani. I normally go for the one that I showed you just before. Nonetheless, a great album. Some nice guitar riffs in there. And then the last two things I want to show you, Joe Satriani, Eric Johnson, and Steve Vai. So this is the first of the G3 projects. And this is available on DVD as well. And they do, each has a, they each have a turn to show, to highlight their own music. So Joe Satriani comes on with Cool Number 9, Flying in a Blue Dream, and Summer Song. Eric Johnson then has Zap, Manhattan, Camel's Night Out. And Steve Vai does 3 tracks, Answers for the Love of God, which is his famous song, and the Attitude song. And then they all get together and they jam Going Down, My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama, which is the Frank Zappa tune, and Red House, the Jimi Hendrix. Great, the CD and DVD on that. And then I have the DVD version of the later lineup with Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and John Petrucci from Dream Theater. There's the 3 guys there. A couple of live shots. And they each get their turn again. John Petrucci, Glasgow Kiss, Damage Control. Steve Vai, The Audience is Listening. I think he did it in that one as well. Building the Church. Joe Satriani, Up in Flames. And then they do Hendrix, Foxy Lady, ZZ Top, LaGrange, and Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. So some of the classics. But yeah, the musicianship on stage is scary. I mean, all 3 of these guys and whoever he plays with, whether it's drummers, bassists, or guitarists, they are just on another level. But what I like about Joe Satriani and these other guys, as opposed to a person like Yngwie Malmsteen, who I'm sorry guys if there are a lot of fans out there, doesn't work for me. For me, Malmsteen is just speed. If I've listened to one of his albums, I've listened to the lot, because they don't really change that much, in my view, my personal opinion. As I said, if you guys enjoy him, that's great. It just doesn't do it for me. These guys, on the other hand, have a lot more melody in their music. It speaks to me more. It's more personal, whereas Malmsteen just sounds like a whole bunch of other shredders. But anyway, that's a really good one to get. Some other albums I just want to mention. Time Machine from 1993, which is studio outtakes and a live recording. That's a double disc. And then there's one from 2015 called Shockwave Supernova. What Happens Next from 2018. And that features Glenn Hughes on bass. Glenn Hughes gets around. I mean, is there anybody that he hasn't played with? So he plays bass. He doesn't do any vocals on there, which is a shame. And Chad Smith on drums. Obviously, Chad Smith, friends with Joe from Chickenfoot. And the most recent album is called Shapeshifting, and that came out last year. Also a great album. So there we have it. Joe Satriani, somebody definitely worth checking out if you haven't already. If you're a guitar fanatic, you got to listen to Joe. And even for the casual guitar listener, if you're not really into that kind of instrumental, a lot of his stuff is very accessible. So, yeah, check him out, Joe Satriani. Thanks, guys. If you'd enjoyed the video, please, down below, like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Have yourselves a great week. Take it easy out there. It's pretty cold still here in Cape Town. Hopefully it's going to warm up soon. And I think next time around we're going to have a look at a very short-lived band. So I don't have much to show and tell next time, but it'll be the band Trapeze. I'll catch you guys then. Cheers.